Welcome to this week's edition of the Life Lab, and once again I'm joined by a fantastic guest from our friends in the United States of America, and he is Rob Tracz, and he is a performance coach and speaker. Rob, welcome to the Life Lab. How are you doing today?
Oh, Tom, I'm doing well, man. Thank you for having me on. I'm excited to be here today.
Excellent. So, Rob, first of all, just tell us a bit about yourself and tell us a bit about some of the great things that you get up to.
Yeah, so background's in strength and conditioning. It's where I was for a long time. I got my early taste of entrepreneurship, and then quickly scaled up my book of business to the point where I was working 15, 16, 17-hour days, extremely burnt out. Ruined a lot of relationships. I transitioned my whole coaching through a bit of a reflection. And in that moment of reflection was born the Prime Performance Coaching process, which is what I do now. And I help a lot of individuals, a lot of driven individuals, typically entrepreneurs, who are experiencing some form of burnout or stagnation with their business or in their personal life. And it's where I come in, kind of leading in through some mentorship, some workshops, some exercises, and we work together to kind of overcome those struggles and level up in life and business.
Brilliant. I mean, we're all about exploring life's possibilities on the Life Lab. So there's going to be loads of stuff that we can get into and talk about in terms of your story. So you talked about reaching that burnout stage and getting to 16, 17-hour days. Like, what caused you to be working so hard? And how did you respond then to that burnout?
Yeah, so it started when I was interning at a strength and conditioning facility. I just finished undergrad, and so I'm getting my feet wet in the world, and finishing up my internship, and I went from unpaid internship to a paid salary. And I had realized that I was the type of guy who was always first to the workouts during athletics and stuff like that. I was always found myself in a leadership type of role in sports teams and things. And then once I got that salary position for the job, I noticed that my performance at work had severely dipped. Like, I was the kind of person that was making sure all the numbers were lined up on the weights. I was making sure the floors were mopped multiple times per day. But as soon as I got that salary, all that work ethic just disappeared, and I had to take a step back, and I was like, that's not who I am. So I was like, I need to change something. I need to make sure that I always am challenging and pushing, and that's where I had then left that position and got into another place where it was more of like the traditional kind of kill what you eat. The more sessions you train, the more money you make sort of thing. And from there, I had control of my schedule and had nobody to tell me that I couldn't train more clients in the day. So I took on more clients and more clients and more clients to the point where I was working on all the holidays, special occasions, weddings, birthdays, all that stuff. And I did that for about 3 years. And in that time period, a lot of the relationships around me fell apart. So not seeing my family, the girl I was dating, we ended up breaking up. My friends stopped calling me because I would always default to busy with work. And in that time period, my dad got really sick, diagnosed stage 4 pancreatic cancer. From the day that he found out to the day that he passed was about 5 weeks. Wow. And instead of spending his remaining time with him, I chose to fill my schedule with my clients and continue to work. So I missed out on that. And I continued doing that for another year because that full schedule ended up becoming a distraction from the world that I had started to create. So as a strength and conditioning coach, you're supposed to be strong and conditioned and in shape, and my body was falling apart. My diet was not well. I was just, every conversation I had was surface level, and I was in a rough place. And then there was this one weekend where a lot of clients were traveling for holiday, and I was sitting back on a Friday panicking because my schedule was open for the weekend. And I'm like, what do I do? I don't have anything planned for the weekend. And in that moment, I was thinking, like, most people look forward to the weekend because they have nothing planned. And here I am stressing that I don't have work to do on the weekend. And that allowed me to kind of take a couple steps back and revisit what's helped me be successful throughout the course of my life and where things have started to go wrong with my business. And then as I began to shift and change, prime performance coaching began to evolve and develop as I continued to learn and grow and expand myself as an individual. So too did the coaching, until what I have now is, like I said before, helping a lot of entrepreneurs and really driven individuals. Essentially, I help them look good, feel good, and do great things, to boil it down.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing about your dad. I'm really sorry to hear about him passing. What do you think it was about you and your personality and your character which drove you to such extreme levels of hard work in that period?
Yeah, so like an older version of me would have just been like, yeah, it's what you want to do. You want to work hard. You want to have the work ethic. You want to show that you're doing stuff. You want to be productive to yourself and to other people. But the newer version of myself, after doing some internal like reflection and digging deeper, come to realize that at the time period, that work, that like pushing, and I kind of wore it like a badge of honor on my sleeve. Like, oh, I'm too busy, I can't do that. Like, look at me, I'm so important. And I was doing that because I was really seeking attention, and I was looking to tell everybody that I was so busy, but I wanted everybody to keep kind of feeding after me, like, hey, come hang out, let's do this. And at the same time, I also thought that it was going to get the attention of my parents, and, oh, look how successful my son is. He's doing this, he's busy, blah, blah, blah. But in turn, what ended up happening was I was continuing to push everybody away from me. And so the people who I was really looking forward to getting the attention from and spending time with, they were so far away that it was unable for me to reach that. And I think for me, it was that constant drive to keep pushing, keep going better, and look at this, like, look at the success that I'm having. And on paper, it was great, but internally, it was really killing me. It was destroying me from the inside. And I think that motive of chasing after and pushing really stemmed from family and peers and things like that. Because I always told myself it was a financial thing. And then once I hit that financial milestone, it became a little bit more and a little bit more, and to the point where I essentially ran out of hours in the day to work. And I had to create new streams of income. So I started my supplement business. I started online coaching and some other things. And there's only so much you can do in your confines. I had to accept the fact that I needed to start working smarter instead of harder, which was difficult.
Yeah. And do you notice these sorts of traits in some of the entrepreneurs that you work with, that they find it difficult to have that balance and are often chasing those extrinsic rewards, if you like, in their careers and their businesses?
Oh, 100%. I see it all the time, and it's the same song but slightly different dance each time. So it's some people chasing after other things, and we live in a world today where hustle culture is so prevalent. It's all over the place, and everybody's constantly talking about how, oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead kind of thing. I gotta grind now, because people do, like I was, wearing it like a badge of honor. Like, look how hard I'm working. Look at all this effort that I've been putting in. And it might look good on paper, but you're really grinding that stone down to essentially nothing.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely recognize the feelings in myself as an entrepreneur, feeling like, when I'm not busy, finding it hard to enjoy that feeling and enjoy that opportunity to rest, because you always feel like you have to look for the next hustle. Like, it really resonates with me.
Yeah. And my girlfriend hates that, because whenever we go on vacation, I'm chill and cool and calm for the first day or so. But then come like day 3 or 4, I'm like, all right, what's going on? What's going on in the world? I got to go do something, kind of thing.
Yeah. When you reached that point where you were working these 17-hour days and you felt, right, something's got to change, and it sounded to me when you were talking that you went through I suppose like a period of reflection. Like, was there any particular reflective practice that you put in place there, or did you speak to a therapist, or like what was the process there for stepping back and taking that time?
Well, so I've always been interested in kind of performance enhancement. So like whether that's biohacking or just kind of personal development. I was always the kid who was reading Men's Health, looking for little tips and tricks to kind of improve performance or efficiency or productivity. And I think because of my beginning in the personal development world, so way back when my parents got divorced and I was super young, and it was really difficult for me to make friends and maintain friendships because I was changing school districts so much as a young kid. And I was what I consider a dweeby, little out of shape kid, and I tended to just play video games and watch TV and was furthest from an athlete. And once we finally found a place to call home, I met this young kid and we started connecting on like video games and things. And his dad actually was the football coach, so he encouraged me to come out to play. And I learned two really important lessons that first day of practice. I learned that you can't wear jeans to sporting events, and I noticed that a lot of the more popular kids and the better athletes, they seem to be able to make it through practice and at least the warm up with ease. And I was struggling to just complete the warm up laps. And what I internalized was I need to get stronger. I need to get faster. I need to do this if I want to see more success on the field and such. And that ended up being true. So the more that I started working out at home, I was doing like little squats and push-ups and things that I could do, eventually got better at it. And the better I got at it, the more playing time I would see. Then the more playing time I would see, the more friends I would have on the teams. And then the more friends I would have, the more birthday parties I'd get invited to. And if I wanted to go to the birthday parties, my mom made sure that my grades were good. So then this became the gateway to my personal development journey, which then eventually led to paying attention to my nutrition, which later on became not just dietary nutrition, but also my digital nutrition as well, to paying attention to different types of books that I'm listening to. Am I engaging on great podcasts like this one, or am I just kind of aimlessly listening to the radio with no intention? But then that segued into more things like goal setting and focus and optimization of my rules and my routines. And then eventually, as I had different teams that I was playing on in college and post-college and stuff like that, it was about like making sure that I have good players around me. And then that allowed me to create a good team, having a good coach and captains to lean on. And then that really just kind of reflecting on a lot of that through life, piece by piece by piece, I kind of started seeing these different principles of my life kind of falling into place. And that's what I had shifted and eventually became Prime Performance.
Brilliant. And tell us a bit about Prime Performance and what the inspiration was for that, and what your methodology is and how you work with your clients to make them really successful.
Yeah. So essentially, I just run them through what I just kind of shared with you about that whole process. So I joke around and say it's easy 3 steps. You look good, you feel good, and then you do great things.
Yeah.
And but deeper level to that is each one of those phases, there's 6 principles in total, and starting off with building resilience and intentional consumption. So that's like me as a younger kid needing to start to accept the challenge and pushing myself both physically but then cognitively too, by learning new sports and new things like that. And that allowed me to build the resilience to handle the ups and downs of everyday life, and it allowed me to start becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I think that really transfers over into entrepreneurship and in life too, because the better you are equipped to handle the fluctuation of emotions and the physical aspects of life, the smoother your ride will become, because you can handle those ups and downs. And then the next part there is that intentional consumption. So making sure that I'm fueling myself so that I can continue to challenge myself in these various different ways. So like I mentioned, diet is important, but also the digital nutrition as well. So like making sure the inputs are fueling me and energizing and motivating me and educating me so that I can continue to show up. And then that really is that first phase of looking good, right? So being confident, being strong, feeling energized, feeling motivated. And to me, that's what it means to look good. And then you shift into the feeling good phase. And this is really all about that clarity and focus, really understanding your core values personally, the life that you want to build, and the aspirations that you're setting out for, and honing in on your strengths and weaknesses. Because when you know those things, it makes it a lot clearer of a picture of where you're trying to get to. And then from there, you get into the next principle, which is that optimization. So really pulling an audit on your rules and your routines. So the different habits that you have and the schedules and how that all factors into your life. And once you're moving smoothly and efficiently towards the direction that you want to be moving, that's what really, to me, is the essential of feeling good, is moving well and smooth. And then you get into that final phase of that doing great things, which is important to, if you want to do anything great, you got to have a great team around you. So making sure that you've got good coach, good captains, and a solid crowd that you can call on to support you and push you forward. And then from there, it's really just about opening your eyes and to the opportunity that's around you. A lot of people fall into this competition mindset where I can't associate myself with this coach or this trainer or this product because it's too similar to what I do. When in reality is, like, you can collaborate and work together, and there's going to be a way that you can, some way or another. And instead of just one person winning, one person losing, why not you both just win? And that's really the full spectrum of the process, really.
I mean, it's so comprehensive, and as you were talking then, I was starting to reflect on, the things that I do. I was starting to think about my consumption, digital consumption in particular, and am I really sort of nourishing myself in that sense? If a client came to you and they were really feeling like low on resilience and they felt it was really impacting their business, like what sort of process would you go through? Would it be going through the things like the values and the digital consumption and things like that, or would you be able to work specifically around resilience individually?
Well, I guess it does depend on the individual. So, for example, I had this one person come to me, and they were just looking to lose a little bit of weight. They just wanted to lose like 20 pounds or so. And as we were beginning to work together, realizing that they wanted to build more confidence, they wanted to be able to, they were in a job that they really hated. It was really knocking them off emotionally. They'd go in happy, come out of the workday totally off kilter, and then that affects everything else in the rest of their life, because then they have to go home and essentially sulk or hang out. And to me, that was a lot of emotional instability and lacking the confidence. So when we honed in, I used this little resilience matrix that I created, and it's kind of like a graph. Along the x-axis is your physical challenge, and along the y-axis is your cognitive challenge. The more physically challenging you push yourself, the further and further you go, but you risk getting crushed by all that pressure of that force. And then if you go too light, you fall into this complacency corner. And same thing with the cognitive challenge. If you challenge yourself with too much of a cognitive load, it'll actually burn you out, and not enough, you'll fall into that complacency corner again. So the idea is to get into that sweet spot where it's just enough challenge physically and just enough challenge mentally that is pushing and allowing you to grow. So we do this little audit to kind of figure out where we're at in our life. And this young guy, he realized that he wasn't really pushing himself in either category. So we started with the gym routine to kind of build some discipline, which then eventually built some confidence. He started feeling better, feeling stronger. Then that actually built the confidence for him to leave that position he was in and seek a new position and find a dream job that he wanted. And he was struggling because he was getting rejection after rejection after rejection. And then we went back to the drawing board to continue pushing and taking on new challenges, and pushing him by going to new networking events and connecting with more people. And he started to accept those rejection after rejection, and it began to shift his mindset into, this is just another one. I can keep going. I can keep rolling. Until the point where he came to me, he's like, "Hey, Rob, I got great news for you." And he's like, "What?" He's like, "I not only did I get that one job, but I got 2 job offers." So I'm like, that's a great problem to have. Now it's, which one do you really want to have? And it really stemmed with him building that resilience and pushing himself and accepting the challenges.
Yeah. So it sounds like what you're saying is that resilience is almost like a muscle, really, that if you keep pushing yourself to do these difficult things, then it makes you more able in the longer run to be able to do more difficult things. Is that right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, brilliant. I was just thinking as you were talking earlier about this idea of being more comfortable with discomfort or being more comfortable with uncomfortable situations. I can't remember the exact wording that you use. And in my coaching practice, I don't work with people on say strength and conditioning or particularly in life, but I work with a lot of corporate coaching clients. And I find that one of the biggest things that holds clients back is that recognizing when there's a bit of discomfort, they should lean into that, because that's where the magic happens. And it can feel scary and it can feel uncomfortable, but that's where growth occurs. And I wonder, like, what sort of, practical advice you have for people to help them to lean into some of those difficult things and try new things and push themselves to achieve more.
Yeah, I mean, so the underlying theme for a lot of things that I'm talking about and sharing is that awareness aspect. It kind of runs through all the different principles. And the best way to kind of make sure that you're on point with your awareness is to have some sort of reflection process or practice. Some people that is like meditation, other people it's journaling, and then some people it's even just connecting with a friend. For example, just last night, actually, I was at dinner with a buddy of mine, Eddie, and he was telling me how he has just launched this new event series where he's a very religious guy. So he's partnered up with these two other small businesses. They bring a bunch of people together and they worship or pray and whatever it is that they do. And he's worked with people in the past, and it's not always been the best like situation. The partners, somebody falls through on something, but he was telling me how great these two new guys that he's been working with have been, and he's kind of feeling a little nervous because usually it's the other people who aren't pulling their weight, and he's feeling like he's not showing up, and he's worried that he's going to be the one that kind of slips and falls or throws something off. And I was telling him, I'm like, dude, man, like, that's it right there. Like that little bit of discomfort or worry is good, because that means that they're pushing you to continue to get better. Like you're trying to pull yourself up to the same level that they are. And that's a good sign, because you're all winning, and not just you three, but also everybody else who's in your community. So that's great. And for some, like I was saying, like some people find that through journaling or meditating. And for him, it was literally just voicing it out with a friend. So being able to reflect on what's going on, kind of catching up with yourself and how have you been doing? And if you're someone who's in that resilience world, like take a step back and say like, hey, have I been pushing myself? Am I just physically tired just from work, or am I open to new challenges and new things? Am I trying to learn? Am I trying to take on new responsibilities? And then you just kind of look at it like, hey, yes, no, I haven't really been doing much. Where can I kind of take on some new? And then setting a deadline, like, hey, let me try this new approach, whether it's new language or a new hobby or a new skill or cooking or whatever it may be. Let me try it out for the next like month or two, and then check back in, because you never know what comes from those opportunities. You never know what can pop up, and you never know how better equipped you'll be to handle certain things just from going through new experiences.
Yeah, God, there's so much here. I have to say it's really making me reflect on what I'm doing at the moment to push myself and what I'm doing to learn. Like, can I ask you like more of a personal question about
Sure.
like, what are you doing at the moment that feels uncomfortable, that you're really like on the edge of your learning in?
So this is probably the worst time for you to ask me that question, because I just finished a sprint season. So I'm actually now going into a little bit of like a down time. So I'm opening myself up to guest on more podcasts to kind of chill out and really tend to my clients and relationships too, with like my girlfriend and family and friends like that. But previous to today, the past like 6 weeks or so was a really serious like sprint season. I had a lot of events. I had a full busy day with coaching calls, and then I have events and things in the evenings. I was working really long hours again, sometimes getting up at like 4 a.m. and not finishing my day until like 11:30 at night. But I knew that time period was going to be tough, and I intentionally took on a lot of events to go to and to host and participate in, because I wanted to test myself. I wanted to push myself. And I agreed. I was like, okay, this next 6 weeks are going to be hard, but I'm going to learn from it. And it was challenging, but it showed some light on me that although there's a lot of things going on, I was falling off on my communication with my clients and with my friends and just all around. So my email inbox kind of spiked up on a lot. I got to catch up on those. Even my text messages, I got to return to a lot of messages, and I just fell off on that. So there was a learning process for me. Like, hey, if I want to continue doing more and more events, I need to make sure that I have a system in place for me to check in and check all these different channels of communication so I can stay on top of everything and continue to grow and evolve. So there's little things like that. And in the past, I've pushed myself and with crazy challenges for physically. And I've been trying to learn Spanish for the past few years. And
so have I.
Still playing rugby. So I'm always pushing myself in different realms.
Yeah. Is rugby a common thing to play in Connecticut? Is that a
not too common, but there's we play in the Empire League, so we're connected with a couple different states that are local. Our team's pretty good, so it's not too much competition in Connecticut.
Yeah, lots of rugby going on over here in the UK. So thank you for sharing that, and I'm really interested just to understand, like, so you're going to have a bit of relaxation time, or you're going to slow down a bit intentionally, and you've used that word intentionally or intention quite a few times through this conversation. And what are you going to do for the next 6 weeks to make sure that you get that space to recharge? What does that look like?
Yeah, it's really just sticking to the boundaries of my schedule. Back when I was burnt out and working those long hours, it was really easy for me to bend those boundaries. Partially being a people pleaser, making sure that like I can get that attention from the clients. I wanted to make sure that, like, hey, if I blocked out a time for myself, but somebody needed to move over, that was like easy for me to just bump them over because I wanted to keep them happy. But now I have designated downtime where I'm like, okay, I'm only going to be working on the podcast, or I'm only going to be working on social media. I'm going to take this whole day here to just relax and chill out. And things like that. And I know I'm going to set that for the next 6 to 10 weeks or so. And in that process, begin to get into a more creative flow, and then probably get back into a busy season after that.
Yeah. Love it. Rob, you are a gift. Thank you so much for coming on and speaking to us. It's been so interesting to talk to you. Couple of things before we finish. So one, I'd be really interested in one piece of advice that you might give to somebody who is looking to be a better version of themselves. Like, what would you advise them to do? Just one thing.
Yeah, one thing would be to just kind of slow down and pay attention to what works for you. There's a lot of coaches, gurus, specialists all out there that are telling you, like, this is the morning routine you need to do. This is what you need to, the diet you need to eat, or this is the productivity hack that's going to free up your time. And it's good to like learn all of those and to test them out and to try some of this, try some of that. But the magic really happens when you adopt your own style and you take a little bit of this from a little bit of that and from over here, and you create what works well for you. Because everybody is unique to their own life. So like different stressors and different things. So when you can really figure out and hone in on the things that really are the best for you and your lifestyle, that's where the magic kind of comes into play.
Yeah. Love that. Brilliant. Thank you for that. I think that's some really valuable stuff in there for our listeners. And final question, where can people find you if they want to find a bit more about Rob and about Prime Performance Coaching? Where can they go?
Yeah, the easiest place to kind of check in if you want to chat with me or just stay up to date would be Instagram and LinkedIn. It's mostly where I hang out, and it's pretty easy just searching my name. Or over on my website, just myname.com, robtrazy.com. Last name is Tracz.
Brilliant. Well, we will definitely link to all those, to your Instagram, your LinkedIn, and your website in the show notes. So yeah, just thank you again, Rob. Absolutely awesome to have had the opportunity to meet you and talk to you. And I will be following what you do from now with interest. And yeah, have a great bit of recharging over the summer. And yeah, I hope that gets you back into a nice Zen state. And yeah, I'm raring to go for your next sprint.
I appreciate that, Tom. Thank you so much. This has been my pleasure today.
Thank you. All the best.